It was a routine late-night run for me. My wife and kids were peacefully asleep at home, and I needed to train for an upcoming marathon. Running is a significant part of my life, an escape that some may deem obsessive, but as long as I have to legs and to feet, my passion remains unwavering. As I laced up my shoes, the realization hit me. It was mid-January in Montana, so the chill in the air was palpable. The roads remained icy from a recent snowstorm, creating less than ideal conditions. Despite my reluctance, I ventured out into the cold night, recognizing these moments of adversity as the most crucial to endure. The roads were desolate, and the only audible sound was the rhythmic pounding of my shoes on the pavement. Halfway through my 12-mile run, I sensed headlights trailing behind me. Initially dismissing it as just another passing car, my unease grew as the minutes passed, and the car maintained its proximity, matching my pace. Attempting to focus on my breathing and the rhythm of my run, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The car was too close for comfort, especially at this late hour. Glancing over my shoulder, I discerned the silhouette of a man behind the wheel, fixated on me. Panic welled up within me, but I resisted the urge to halt. Convinced it was mere paranoia, I hoped the car would eventually pass. However, it sped up and slowed down alongside me. The man rolled down his window, his face obscured by darkness, and asked, "Where is your daughter?" The question, absurd and intrusive, infuriated me. I turned toward him, questioning his sanity, and insisted he leave. Despite his age, the man persisted. Shocked that I dared to stand up to him, my determination intensified. Refusing to let this unsettling encounter dictate the outcome of my run, I continued running, sternly telling him to back off. Ignoring his presence, I increased my pace, praying for him to disappear. Yet, he persisted. Suddenly, the man extended his hand towards me. Reacting swiftly, I veered off the road, sprinting and stumbling into a ditch. The screech of tires and the revving engine confirmed the danger I now faced. Urging myself to run faster, I traversed a cornfield. Realizing he was pursuing me, he maintained a steady pace, occasionally feigning acceleration to instill fear. Eventually, I cut through nearby woods, forcing him to abandon the chase. Exhausted but relieved, I made it home by navigating through neighbors' yards. Inside, I refrained from waking my sleeping wife and kids. I prepared some leftovers, went to bed after a shower, and decided not to disclose the harrowing encounter to my wife, sparing her unnecessary worry. Since that night, I altered my running routine. No longer do I venture out at night in this area. Instead, I stick to early morning runs before work or opt for well-lit tracks and streets in town. I've also learned the importance of carrying my phone, a lesson from the past when I used to overlook it. Now, I wear sweatpants with zipper pockets to keep my phone secure during runs, a small adjustment that ensures my safety in every stride. The incident left an indelible mark on my nocturnal running habits. I now avoid the quiet, dimly lit roads during the night, opting for safer routes in well-populated areas. The sense of vulnerability lingered, reminding me that not all late-night runs are simple escapes into the solitude of the darkness. Though I've continued my passion for running, the experience shaped my approach to safety. I prioritize well-lit paths and populated areas, taking precautions to ensure my well-being. My early morning runs before work or the well-traveled tracks and streets in town have become my preferred choices. The unsettling encounter taught me the importance of communication and safety, even within the sanctuary of my home. Choosing not to burden my wife with the details was a conscious decision, shielding her from unnecessary worry. I've become more meticulous in my preparations, ensuring I never forget my phone, a lifeline that could prove invaluable in emergencies. As time passed, The memory of that chilling night became a catalyst for positive change. I am now more vigilant, not only in my running routines, but in all aspects of life. It's a constant reminder that sometimes, the darkest moments propel us towards better decisions, safeguarding us from the shadows that linger in the quiet corners of the night. As I walked out, Malachi yelled after me, just loud enough for me to hear. Without thinking, he flipped me off. I retorted even louder with a hearty F you. The entire bar seemed to turn around and stare at me. That was awkward. I hurried out of the bar. The first thing I noticed was the biting cold. It had to be below freezing. Additionally, I realized how buzzed I was. Thankfully, I wasn't driving. Pausing on the sidewalk for a moment, I confirmed that I had my keys, wallet, and phone. As I passed by the Harley-Davidson motorcycles, one of the bikers greeted me around the corner, standing at a towering height, at least 4 inches taller than me and built like a truck. I accidentally bumped into him. Surprisingly, he didn't say anything as I apologized and attempted to walk around him. I quickened my pace, only to be tackled suddenly. Gripped in a bear hug, with more footsteps approaching, they subjected me to a relentless beating that lasted longer than it should have. Eventually, they took my wallet. When they allowed me to get up, my face was bleeding profusely, impairing my vision. They forced me to lead them to my house, claiming they lived in the same trailer park and had seen me around before. Cutting through a small cornfield for a shortcut, we walked back to my trailer. I had no choice. Refusing meant risking my life. Upon arrival, they ransacked what they could carry in a few trips and fled in their getaway vehicle with their accomplice. However, before leaving, one of them grinned at me, conveying a clear message through his eyes. If I reported them to the police, they would return. So, I refrained from calling the cops. They haven't bothered me much since, apparently. I earned a dubious reputation as the troublemaker around the bar, and I never dared to return. Malachi expressed deep remorse, attributing the beating to my causing a scene and drawing attention by screaming obscenities. The Hells Angels perceived it as disrespect, considering themselves the rulers of the bar, or so they believed. That night, regardless of whether I deserved the beating or not, taught me a lesson, a harsh lesson in minding my surroundings. At the end of the day, whether I deserved that brutal encounter or not, it served as a stark reminder to be mindful of my actions and surroundings. The incident left me physically battered and emotionally shaken, but it also instilled in me a newfound sense of caution. Despite the lingering fear and the occasional glances from the shadows, I chose to keep silent about the assault. The unspoken threat in the biker's eyes had etched itself into my memory, a chilling reminder that reporting the incident might provoke a more sinister retribution. Malachi and I drifted apart, the bonds of friendship strained by that fateful night. The bar became a place I'd never dare to revisit, its once familiar atmosphere now tainted with the echoes of that violent encounter. The scars on my face and the lingering trauma served as constant reminders of a lesson learned. In the harshest way possible, in the aftermath, I found solace in the quieter corners of life, round campfires with family, or within the comforting embrace of my own home. The events of that night had reshaped my priorities, emphasizing the importance of safety and the company of those who truly cared. As the years passed, the memory of the Hells Angels and that ill-fated night faded, gradually losing its grip on my daily thoughts. Yet, the lessons learned endured, guiding me to navigate life with a cautious awareness, forever altered by the chilling reminder that some encounters, once experienced, are best left in the shadows. It was well past midnight. As I drove home from my boyfriend's house, my car had been emitting peculiar noises all week, and I hoped it would endure until I reached my mom's place. Unfortunately, Luck was not on my side. The engine sputtered and died in the worst possible spot, a remote stretch of road with about 5 miles left to drive. Panic set in as I futilely attempted to restart the car. Sitting in the darkness, trying to calm my racing mind, realizing the urgency, I reached for my almost dead phone, desperately dialing my mom's number. The call dropped just as she was about to answer, and at that very moment, my phone breathed its last breath. Recalling a phone charger in my center console, I found myself hampered by my old car, which refused to charge when turned off. However, I remembered my portable USB power bank, a thoughtful gift from my dad. Grateful for his foresight during a camping trip a few weeks back, I plugged in my phone, and the Apple logo illuminated my face. As my anxiety began to subside, I noticed a figure standing just beyond my headlight's reach, in the darkness. I couldn't discern any features, only the silhouette of a man. Unease twisted my stomach as he approached. Tapping on my window and gesturing for me to roll it down, I shook my head, informing him that help was on the way, but he remained, staring. Minutes felt like hours as he lingered, and I hesitated to antagonize him. Finally, with my phone turning on, I dialed 911. Explaining the situation, the dispatcher assured me help was on the way. As I hung up, I noticed the man's panic-stricken expression. He backed away, disappearing into the night at the sight of approaching police headlights. When the police arrived, I recounted the chilling encounter. Grateful for their presence, they took my statement, promised to be vigilant, and offered to take me home, an offer I accepted without hesitation. The terror of being stranded with a persistent stranger was etched into my memory, but at least I was safe now. I shared the harrowing experience with my dad, and his anger mirrored any protective father's. As I reflected on that night, I knew it was a chilling reminder that safety should never be taken for granted, especially in the dead of night on a desolate road. The aftermath of that harrowing night left an indelible mark on my consciousness, the fear of being stranded in the middle of nowhere, with a stranger relentlessly insisting on my attention, haunted my thoughts. It became a story I would recount with a shiver, a reminder of the fragility of our safety, even in familiar settings. Sharing the terrifying experience with my dad brought forth a surge of protective anger. His concern and support underscored the importance of being vigilant and prepared for unforeseen dangers. The incident prompted a reevaluation of my safety measures and heightened my awareness of the vulnerabilities one faces, especially during solitary late-night drives. The gratitude I felt toward the police officers, who arrived just in time, was immeasurable. Their presence, swift action, and reassurance not only brought a sense of security, but also restored my faith in the responsiveness of law enforcement. I knew I was fortunate that night, a stroke of luck that enabled me to escape a potentially dangerous situation. As I moved forward, the memory of that night served as a catalyst for greater caution. I became more conscious of my surroundings, more diligent in charging my phone, and more cautious about the reliability of my vehicle. The episode taught me to trust my instincts and to prioritize personal safety over the inconvenience of potential paranoia. In the end, I realized that life's journey, much like a midnight drive, is fraught with unexpected twists and turns. It's in those moments of vulnerability that our resilience is tested, and our choices can make all the difference. The terror of that night would linger, but so would the lessons learned and the newfound strength to navigate the uncertainties that lay ahead.